So basically we can divide Phoenix Metro into three parts. We have main Phoenix area, including North and South Phoenix. We have the West Valley, and then we have the East Valley. And today we are breaking apart and talking all things East Valley. Now, in my opinion, the East Valley is the best valley, mainly because I live here. The East Valley has multiple downtown areas. We're the home to the ASU Sun Devils. And we've also had a lot of big name industries move out this way, including Intel and Meta or Facebook. So today we'll actually talk about 6 different cities in the East Valley area. We'll break down, talk about some of the pros and cons and some of the nuances, ultimately help you decide if the East Valley or any of these cities is the right place for you. And stick around till the end of the video because I am going to talk about school and crimes in this area and things to consider if buying a home. I am Courtney Strzelczyk, your local Phoenix realtor, and if you find any of this helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It does help my channel significantly. So we're gonna start on the northwest part of the East Valley and talk about probably one of the most famous cities in the East Valley, which is Scottsdale. When you ask people what they think of when they think of Scottsdale, you're probably gonna hear golfing and resorts. In the city limits of Scottsdale, there are actually over 50 golf courses, and it's also home to the famous Waste Management Open held at TPC. There is also a plethora of these gorgeous resorts and spas, including Boulders, Four Seasons, and Scottsdale is also known for its luxury shopping. So if you're a big shopper and really love designer brands like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, the Fashion Square in Scottsdale is going to be the place to check out. So the Scottsdale Fashion Square is actually right in the downtown area of Scottsdale, or what we call Old Town. Now, in addition to shopping, Old Town also has some incredible restaurants. You have really fine cuisine, and then you also have a few dive bars tucked in there. There's a little bit of something for everyone. There's also a lot of nightlife there. You're gonna have a lot of clubs that are gonna have bottle services. It's not uncommon too on the weekends, particularly in the nicer cooler months, to see a lot of bachelor or bachelorette parties here too. The Old Town area can get quite busy, but the further north you go, particularly northeast, you're gonna be in more of a residential area. Now it is still very much developed, but the further northeast you're gonna go, it's gonna get quieter. Now, Scottsdale is definitely one of the most expensive areas in the Phoenix metro area. The median sales price as of 2023 is just shy of $800,000 actually. So as far as pros and cons, the pro really would be is that you have great shopping, golfing, resorts, a lot of activities and things to do in Scottsdale, but the con is it's expensive. It's not necessarily the most affordable place to live in the East Valley. But now we're gonna jump slightly south and go to Tempe, Arizona, which is the home of ASU, Arizona State University Sun Devils. When I first explain Tempe to clients, I usually describe Tempe in 2 parts. You have the north part, which is very influenced by the university. There's a downtown area, a little bit more congested, and then the further south you go, that south part is definitely more residential. You're gonna see more neighborhoods and more families down there as well. Now on the north side, there's a lot more activities I would say to do in this part. You're right next to the Botanical Gardens, Papago Park. These are technically in Phoenix city limits, but it's right on the border of Tempe. You also have a few rooftop bars. There's Tempe Town Lake right there. And then there's also several art exhibits and installations throughout the city. The further south you go, there are still plenty of amenities. I mean, pretty much wherever you live in South Tempe, there's probably a grocery store within a mile from your home. You're gonna have a lot of restaurants, shopping. It's just more of a suburban feel, where North Tempe has more of a downtown feel. The median sales price in Tempe is currently $441,000. However, if you aren't interested in either a condo or apartment, if you're strictly looking for single family homes, the median sales price is $526,000. Now, as far as pros and cons, one of the big pros of Tempe really is the location. It's not super expensive, but you're pretty close to the airport and also Central Phoenix as well. The con for Tempe is if you aren't really wanting to live around that downtown area and you want to buy a home, you have to move further south and the houses are going to be more expensive there. Now we're going to jump east and talk about Mesa, Arizona. Okay, Mesa, Arizona is huge. This city in itself has over 500,000 people. In my opinion, Mesa is one of the hardest places to explain, just because there is so much diversity and small communities within the city. You have the downtown area of Mesa where the light rail actually goes through and ends. You have the Las Sendas area. You have these multi-million-dollar homes, and then you have this pocket here of a lot of 55+ communities, including mobile homes and single family homes. And then on the very southeast part, this is the newest part of Mesa. This is actually the home of one of Phoenix's best master plan communities, Eastmark. And Eastmark is a very family-oriented area. And something to know is crime and school ratings can vary significantly depending on what part of Mesa you are in. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Currently, the median sales price is $500,000 and $500,000. Again, the price can change quite a bit. That downtown area, more the west side, you're gonna find a little bit more affordable housing. The homes are gonna be a little bit older, might need a little bit of renovations. The retirement communities tend to be a little less expensive, but Eastmark, that very new community on the southeast side, you aren't gonna have too many options for $500,000. A lot of those homes are going to be above that price point unless you're willing to look at a condo. Now, one of the pros of Mesa really is the food, in my opinion. I'm a huge foodie and there's a lot of great ethnic and hole-in-the-wall places here. You don't have the fine dining like you do in Scottsdale, but if you're just looking for good food, Mesa is the place to check out. Now, the con of Mesa is because it's so big and because there's so many different communities, it's really a hard area to understand until you actually get your boots in the ground and start driving and walking around some of these areas. So if you're thinking about Mesa, particularly if you're buying a home, I would highly recommend coming out and checking it out because, I mean, there really are some fantastic neighborhoods, but there's some neighborhoods that might not exactly be what you want either, and it's hard to tell until you're actually here. Next, we're gonna jump south. We're gonna talk about Chandler. So Chandler has become more of a tech hub in the past handful of years. Two big companies include Intel and Microchip. And with these companies, we're starting to see higher income earners actually move to this area. Chandler isn't the most expensive area in the East Valley. However, it's definitely not as affordable as it was pre-COVID. In the United States and in Phoenix, inventory or the number of homes for sale has been really low, but Chandler especially has experienced this issue of low inventory, and as a result we saw a huge spike in home values and rentals actually in this area. Chandler historically has been known to be a very family oriented area. However, we are seeing more and more younger people move here, particularly that north part of Chandler. The south part is a little more residential, more family oriented, and not quite as many restaurants or things to do in this area. However, there are some great golf courses and parks this way. And in downtown Chandler, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. You have a speakeasy, you have breakfast food, there's Italian, there's some breweries there, steakhouses, tacos, whatever you want, you probably can find it. So the median sales price in Chandler is currently $560,000, but as I mentioned before, the north part is typically a little less expensive, where that south part you're gonna see more expensive homes. Now let's talk about pros and cons in Chandler. So pro, I would say, is Chandler is definitely becoming more lively and I think almost establishing a little bit of its own culture and community there. Now the con is it's a pretty competitive housing market and it's definitely much less affordable than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Next on our list is Gilbert, Arizona, and Gilbert is an incredibly fast growing city. It's not the fastest growing city, but it's definitely up there. Similarly to Chandler, it's also known to be a very family-oriented area. However, like Chandler, we're actually seeing a lot more young professionals move here as well. I've had several clients, and even just hosting open houses, you're seeing younger people move to this area, particularly more on the north side of Gilbert. Gilbert really is like the land of conveniences. You have every grocery store, you have a Costco, you have a few shopping centers. Santan Village is one of the biggest shopping centers there. You also have a downtown area with several different restaurants and bars. They also hold events here like farmers markets and different seasonal festivals. They also have some incredible parks and recreational areas. Now there are some apartments and condos, but it's primarily comprised of single family home neighborhood. And the median sales price currently is $600,000. So it's definitely more expensive. It's not Scottsdale expensive, but it's certainly not the cheapest area in Phoenix Metro. Now, as far as pros and cons, let's talk about the pro. So the pro would be that there is so much more to do in Gilbert than there was 10 years ago. Whether you want to go to a wine bar or maybe play Topgolf, or maybe you have kids and you want to take them to a splash pad, there are tons of options. Now, the con of Gilbert is that, again, similarly to Chandler, we've had a lot of high income earners move to this area, and the prices have gone up quite a bit since COVID, particularly in that south part of Gilbert. Now, if you're looking for something a little less expensive, maybe you're open to having a house that needs a little bit of work, or maybe you want to look at a condo, you're going to have more luck in more of that central north part of Gilbert. Now, our final location that we're talking about in the East Valley is the fastest growing city in Arizona, and that is Queen Creek. So I know I just mentioned that Chandler and Gilbert are known to be family-oriented areas, but I would say that Queen Creek is definitely becoming the front runner of the most family-oriented area in the East Valley. Now, when you go down to Queen Creek, most of the homes have been built in the past 10 to 15 years, and the developers have created a lot of what we call master plan communities. And these master plan communities, they're basically these large subdivisions that have shared amenities, whether it's a pool, pickleball, maybe some green spaces and parks. And a lot of them also host community events regularly. So Queen Creek is pretty far out on the southeast part of Phoenix Metro, so it's definitely much more open, less congested than some other parts in the East Valley, but you also have all your modern amenities. I mean, you got a Trader Joe's, Costco, Target, you got all that you need, but there's not really like a designated downtown area like Gilbert or Chandler. So the median sales price for Queen Creek actually is $682,000. However, if you want to live in this general region and you're okay with going a little further southeast towards Santan, you're going to see a lot more options that are available more in that $400,000 to $500,000 range for a single family home. Now, as far as pros and cons, you're in a much less congested area. There's a lot more open space, not as much traffic, but the con is you're really not central at all. And if you are planning to go to Central Phoenix regularly or the airport regularly, it is quite a hike. It's gonna take you some time to get there. Now, something I really wanna highlight, as this is such an important topic, is both crime and schools. Now, if you are not from this area, one of the biggest things to know is these cities, all 6 of these cities that I talked about today, they're all huge and they all have their sub-communities. Now, great resources to check out just to do some homework, do your due diligence, make sure you understand the area a little bit better, is looking at resources like crimegrade.org. Neighborhoodscout.com is another good one. And then for schools, niche.com or greatschools.org. These resources are a great place to start when you're doing your research, but really one of the best things that you can do is actually start to drive around these neighborhoods, particularly during the evenings or the weekend when most people are off. That will definitely give you an idea if the vibe of the neighborhood sits well with you, if it's a place that you could see calling your home. If you're interested in learning more about any of these individual cities, I do have individual playlists for these cities that are great guides when first learning about the East Valley. Thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions, contact info is below.